So the first thing I do is discuss what programming is with the class, get their general view from general knowledge to stimulate the lesson. I then show them the Larry Wall clip, which will be in the notes below, where they ask a professional program designer how to explain programming in 5 minutes. I don't do the whole video, it's just the first couple of minutes. And he discusses the recipe concept. I then show them a chocolate recipe, chocolate cake, and we break it into the two components, which are the ingredients and the sequence of steps, and I compare the ingredients to variables at the top of the program, the data that we're going to use. And then I move on to show them that the method is the sequence of instructions that will lead to the chocolate cake being made using the data. And I generally pick on an ambiguous word at some point, which is in this case, I think, fluffy, light. And this might mean different things to different people. How fluffy, how light. I mean, it's difficult to quantify, and this is why we don't use natural language and we use a more concise language. The next stage would be to create with the class on the whiteboard some sort of general steps like the recipe and how to add two numbers and what ingredients we need, and write it in more or less English. I then, because it's first lesson, rewrite it in proper pseudocode, and that is how we proceed. Let's look at an example. This is a Year 7 first lesson in programming. I use Scratch, and I always encourage them to present it nicely with instructions and notes, give it a title, as other people will eventually see it. And it could lead to a discussion on proper internet etiquette, because other people are going to see the comments, including parents. And assessment might be to share comments with each other. Well, seems very strange. It says 7 and minus 3. Well, what it's actually doing is it's going to variable 2 and adding the contents to variable 1 and giving the result of 7, such as the simple addition of the contents of two variables. Also, 2 minus 5 is minus 3. If we have a look inside at the code, it's a good idea to zoom if you're using a whiteboard. We can see that it's nicely documented, and I encourage this. Who's written the program and when, because we often revisit them maybe a couple of days later. Might write here that the ingredients of the chocolate recipe are called variables in the program code to help them visualize the word variable. And we store the numbers in, and then I get them to comment the main part. So we set variable 2, add to variable 1, and store back in variable 3. And reading from right to left is the opposite of what they do in mathematics, which is left to right. So it's worth pointing that out. And I get them to make it more attractive. They often enjoy that, and make the presentation a bit more nice. And remind them that scripts will disappear if they click the background button. Backgrounds will disappear if they click the script button, because you often hear, it's gone, the code is gone. So be aware of that issue. And then finally, they will share it with each other and leave comments and share it with me by simply changing the number in the address bar. You only need that unique number in the HTTP